Background of the study. Prayer is an obligatory command revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all Muslims. But many things had happened until it becomes one of the causes of the ignorance in Muslims, especially pillars of qauli. This will make the image of Muslims fall and be looked down upon. The problem statement for this research is how should we apply the pillars of qauli consistently and will not be restrained in the memory of a Muslim. There are three main objectives in this research. First, to identify the level of students' understanding of the pillars of qauli. Second, to give exposure to students the practice of the pillars of qauli consistently in worship. And the last one is to assess whether the practice of qauli can further strengthen the faith of a Muslim.
The question, do students know what are the pillars of qauli? Next, do the students know how to implement the pillars of qauli when performing worship? Then we have what is the law of the pillars of qauli? Lastly, have the students recited the pillars of qauli during prayers? For the hypothesis, identify the understanding of the pillars of qauli to students and how to curb the problems involving the pillars of qauli. There are three importance of this research, which is first, to give awareness to students about the obligation to practice the pillars of qauli in worship. Next, to increase the students' understanding of the legal aspects during prayers so that the worship performed is not in vain and invalid. Last, to provide the benefits to students so that they no longer have to doubt and replace the prayers. For our scope of study, we chose Muslim students in class 4 Mutiara and 4 Nilam because both classes have the average of many Muslim students. Sources such as the internet and scholarly book are used. For our operational definition, the concept of qauli pillars is sometimes overlooked, yet Muslim must continually recall the notion in order to avoid mankind's ignorance. For the literature review, I will only mention 4 out of 6. The first one we have, there are 3 sorts of prayer pillars. Qalbi in the heart, qauli with the lips and fi'li which means deeds. The name of rukun qauli is derived from an Arabic word which is qaul that means words. Qauli can also be referred to a spoken word or recital. And on the other hand, the qauli law stipulates the makhraj, which we must recite it correctly. The tashdid must be checked and the recitation must not be interrupted in the middle of the verse or sentence. For the theory and conceptual framework formation, we use the synonym method to approach and observe the changes in the individual's application of the qauli pillars. For our research methodology, we surf the internet and we use the questionnaire method to gain information. References such as internet searches are also used. We used survey to limit intimate contact with others during the pandemic, which is using jot forms. For the subject of study, we chose students from class 4 Mutiara and 4 Nilam, which are a total of 25 student respondents that are chosen randomly. There are 4 steps that we take to do this research, which is first, the respondents must select from the options yes or no, as well as no, not sure, and don't know. Questionnaires were also collected before making a comparison table and presented in percentage form. Then, we present it in a tabulated form to make the process of acquiring information easier.
For the data report, 18 people know whether it was a pillar of qauli, 6 people weren't sure, and 1 person didn't know if it was a pillar of qauli.
18 respondents knew how to use the pillars of qauli in prayer, 6 respondents were unsure, and 1 respondent did not know how to use the pillars of qauli in prayer. 21 people said they repeated the rukun qauli during prayers, whereas 4 people said they didn't. The majority of people are aware of the rukun qauli law. For the study's findings, the results of the study show that using the strategy of holding workshops and giving the rukun qauli lectures to students during the intervention can increase students' mastery of reading rukun qauli.
One of the suggestions that we have made in order to curb the problem of this research is by applying a method called syngonym. This method has been approved by scientists and researchers on how to remember things in a quickest way. Hence, this will make the students will always remember the pillar or rukun that are must apply in prayer.
For the future development, hold seminars to identify challenge or obstacles that students have when learning the pillars of qauli and to improve their fluency in reading them.
To put everything in a nutshell, our study was successful to reach its goal and identified a number of actions that can be implemented. But it is contingent on the individual's willingness to progress, because prayer is not a frivolous thing that Muslims should overlook.